So a question I get asked all the time by parents, teams, players is how can they get into professional clubs or get signed by pro clubs, which is something that a lot of youngsters want to do. It's not the be all and end all, and it's not all that football's about, but for those individuals who really want to push themselves, it's good for us to be able to give a little bit of advice to them. So I've worked in a few different environments at professional clubs, but with my work through the FA and through my A licence, I've worked with loads of clubs from around the country. So my A licence, for example, there must have been 25 different clubs represented, some of them Premier League teams, Man City's, Liverpool's, etc., Chelsea, all the way down to your kind of League One, League Two teams that all had their representatives there, their academy managers and stuff. And one of the general conversations we always had was, what do you look for in players? What are you looking for when you're signing players? So first of all, there's the kind of obvious of the technical and tactical ability. So they've got to be at a decent level. Physicality is something that people think it's always a big thing, but it's not. A lot of clubs are not. People think everyone looks for big players. They don't look for big players. In my experience, what they look for is players that have got some athleticism, but they're not always looking at where you are now. Most pro clubs are looking at where's your potential. So if they're technically good, but there's still areas to work on, that's absolutely fine. So they're looking at actually what is this young person's potential. So that's what they look for me in terms of the technical and tactical stuff. The second thing I think a lot of pro clubs are looking for that will help players get an opportunity is that they're coachable. So for example, you'll get a lot of players that are really strong with one foot, but they're not confident on their other foot. It's quite a normal thing. So they will kind of normally get challenged by their coaches to say, I want you to try and use your other foot. I want you to try and cross with your other foot, or try and finish with it. And what they're looking for is the response of the players that do try it. And I don't think they're even that bothered about how well it's going. I remember talking to an academy manager from a club in the Midlands, and they set people challenges each week just to see if they try to have a go at it, because it shows that they're coachable and they're willing to try new things. If they fail, it's fine. What they're looking for is that intent to have a go at it. Third, and I think this is something that we do quite well at TSC, that we try to really get our players to embrace, is the ability to play different positions. And this was especially clubs, the 2 or 3 Premier League clubs I talked to and that I've had some experience with, they need players that are adaptable, that can do different things and play in different places. And if you look at the way the modern football's going, a right back now is not a defender. A right back needs to be able to get in the box. A right back needs to be able to cross. Needs to be able to defend as passing back free as a right back. Some clubs have them go and sit in centre midfield. So by playing different positions and being flexible and adaptable to try a different position, I think that really helps players out when they're getting looked at. So that's a really important thing. It's something we stress, that players should always try and play in different positions. And if you think about a striker now, a modern day striker has to be able to defend. So putting a striker, someone who plays striker all the time at right back to learn to get better at 1v1 defending is only going to be to their benefit. I think attitude's a massive one that all clubs are looking for. And this was general consensus. Every person that I've ever worked with in professional clubs or at pro clubs, the attitude's a massively important thing. Attitude doesn't necessarily mean the kid that's the nicest on the pitch or the politest on the pitch. It doesn't necessarily mean the kid that's horrible on the pitch and just is desperate to win. It's kids that have got that drive and desire to improve, drive and desire to get better all the time and at training, to concentrate, that will be respectful of their opponents as well as their coaches, without losing that drive to improve and to in some clubs, especially to get hold of that drive to win. And there's a knock-on effect on that of them always being prepared and having got everything ready and making sure they're sleeping properly and making sure they're switched on the day that they're playing. And they've got this attitude of they can always improve, they can always get better. And I think that's one of the most important things that every single club that I've worked with, every person I've talked to is working and looking for.